Good morning, Neville.
Good morning, CK. Very good morning to you. Day seven. We've made it.
We made it. The first week passed through like a breeze. We got a few more days to go.
Well, that's the first start. So let's look at this word feedback here. Let's give people a bit of feedback and ask some questions. So, 7 days in, what have you done? Have you got a routine in place? If you've got a routine in place, tell us about it. Tell us what's working for you. So, CK, you've been in this routine for many, many years now. So this lockdown really hasn't stopped you. But what have you seen that you've done differently over the last 7 days? Because everyone else is on lockdown and you've never seen that before.
Yes, you're right. None of my generation people have seen any lockdown. Even during the war with Pakistan, I was born after that. So there used to be lockdown. So personally, my generation people have not seen the lockdown. This is the first lockdown that we're going through. And to answer your question, I had a routine which was Monday to Friday, working from office and weekends off. And right now that routine is gone out of the window. So, you are right. I have built a new routine. My colleagues and my company workers are all working for the company that I head from home. And we are using the technology. We are ensuring that all people work for 8 hours minimum for the company. So we are ensuring that the support to employees is given in adequate form. So we are actually using a concept called virtual office, using whatever tool. I don't want to talk about tool, but there is a virtual office. So people actually finish their household chores, sit in front of their PC on a broadband, and they work very similar to the office environment. So in the software that we are using as a company, we can have multiple windows on the screen, and I can literally talk to each one of my employee face to face without losing any time. And I can call some of them into a closed room meeting as well. Sometimes I have a coffee break with people. I say, hey, what you're doing? So I call them, hey, let's have a coffee. So he bring his coffee, I bring my coffee, and we basically have coffee in front of the screen. So we have worked out a very nice system of 8 hours. And so people don't have to travel also, but they are spending 8 hours to the work for which they have been hired for the company. So that is my way of doing things. This is not perfect. I'm sure a lot of my industry colleagues will have some other bright ideas, and I think we should ask them as well what they are doing to create a routine.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like anything else. Sharing means that we can pass something on to somebody else. And this isn't rocket science. We're not sharing the crown jewels here. We're not having any intellectual property that we're sharing. We're just sharing some really good practice of how to communicate, how to negotiate with each other. It's great that you've become a real virtual company. It's just imagine, it's as though you're in the office, but you're not in the office. And it'd be good to hear some of the feedback from your employees, how they feeling about this, not spending 20 minutes to an hour to struggle into work every morning and then thinking of leaving at the right time in the afternoon so that they miss the traffic. And, I see you've got a beautiful background there, but just what it's doing to the environment. All of these car fumes that are no longer there, all of these motorbike fumes that are no longer there. We might even think about buying a bike and cycling into work. I don't know, you do on occasion, because you've told me. But this is going to change. This is actually going to change our lives completely, and a lot of it could be for the better. So, yeah, it's lockdown, but let's hear some feedback from other people. Let me give you a little bit of feedback about the UK. we're on lockdown too. And equally, we've gone through something called Brexit, which means unless you're earning a particular salary, which is, they're saying, about £25,000, you can't come into the country from overseas. That includes Europe. Okay. One of the biggest problems now is that we need food. We need to get food into the economy, and we've got millions of tons of food in the ground maturing because the sun shines every day, and it's raining as well. So the fruit and vegetables are maturing, but we've got no one to pick them. So the feedback I've got, literally, is for if you have got any families in the UK, any friends or family in the UK that's actually suffering from this because they haven't got a job, they can apply to go and pick fruit, pick vegetables, and get an income, because they're crying out for people to pick this fruit and veg. Otherwise, billions of tons of good quality food will lay in the ground unpicked. It'll die. Now, that's real sad news from all of this, but it could be of a real opportunity for people that are living in the UK, that are potentially listening to this, that could sign up and get paid to go and do a decent job. And then it'll be a restricted profession. So they'll actually be able to move around a bit freer. So there are some benefits as well. So that's a bit of feedback from the UK. We need to share all of this good stuff that we're doing. And I'm sure you've got, other really good things that are happening, but because they happen to you all the time, CK, you just assume they happen elsewhere. And one thing with feedback is, do not assume anything.
Right. So, like we have changed ourselves. So we are a small company. We actually deal in business consulting. So we are a small group of highly knowledgeable professionals. So since we are small, we could immediately change the way we do business. The challenge also, I think I should also talk about challenge. It's imperative.
Yep.
The challenge that we are facing is our clients are not as quick as we are. So they are wondering what to do. Sometimes they are shy to come in front of camera, and continue working as we were doing in the past. So I think the challenge is this process of making your routine and becoming virtual is still not gone in fully. But I think eventually I have a hope that people will start getting used to the virtual platform and start doing business on the virtual platform. Maybe next week, maybe. I think I can share that feedback after a week. We can revisit this subject again.
No, I think that's a good idea. And again, reaching out to anyone that's listening here. Let's know your feedback, how you're doing, what routines you've got into that are really working for you, because they'll work for somebody else. How you're keeping in touch with your supply chain, because they are part of your business as much as the people that you employ, or even your networking partners, the people that were introducing you to other opportunities elsewhere. What we need to remember here is, although parts of the world are on lockdown, other parts of the world are now getting back to work. So this started, the epidemic started in the East. Those manufacturers now are going back to work. So look at the opportunities that those manufacturers are giving. The world needs what they call PPE, personal protective equipment. And there is a shortage. No two ways about it, there's a shortage. And as the East, China, opens up, there's millions of opportunities that come from looking at who's got what. And like anything else, it's not necessarily the manufacturer that's got the relationship with the customer or the client. You might have that relationship. So, for instance, if you've got a relationship with anyone in the health arena in the Western world today, then you can buy and be that middle person that's buying from the manufacturers in China. Get that supply chain, shorten it, be smart, be the entrepreneur. This isn't about people making money here. This is about people getting back into business and making things happen and doing the right thing. So there are opportunities. Get out there and start to do it. But the main thing is be focused on who you are and what you're doing. Be the opportunist entrepreneur that you always were, prior to this pandemic. Who were you before? Get back to that person, because you might just have missed it in the last week. And in fact, probably a couple of weeks before, because people, even before lockdown, people were talking about the prospect of lockdown, which meant that we were missing opportunities. We were missing the entrepreneur values that people on here listening can be doing. So feedback, give us feedback, guys. That's what we want to hear. Want to hear some good news stuff, that it's working for you, it could work for somebody else. How's that?
Yes, in fact, I would like to share some ideas from my
Brilliant. Yeah, let's do.
See, there are the big chunk of our society are basically called financial advisors, and
Yep.
these are the people who are driving the investments from high net worth individuals or public by and large. The usual method, at least I've seen in the US and in India, is there is a set expectation of a high net worth individual that the person should come and meet me. So the whole idea is that the financial advisor will seek an appointment from an HNI and go and meet him and him or her in the customer's favorite place, like a club or some in a nice place, a golf course, stuff like that. So now this whole thing of meeting HNI and the financial advisor can straight away get onto the virtual platform and see how many HNIs one financial advisor can handle, because now they don't have to spend 3 hours driving or taking a flight, spending one day to meet an HNI. They can just do it in 5-10 minutes. So the productive announcement can happen rapidly.
Equally, the beauty about that is the HNI doesn't have to put up with a really crappy cup of coffee. They're in their own home. They're in their own study.
Right.
They've got their own cake, coffee, tea, orange juice, whatever it is, in the comfort of their own home. And they will be more appreciative of it. And the thing is, we're having a conversation here over 7,000 miles. We haven't flown. I haven't got jet lag. You haven't got jet lag. We're refreshed. We haven't stopped drinking in front of each other.
Right.
We are still seeing each other face to face. The only difference is you can't smell me and I can't smell you.
It's safe. We are not spreading viruses.
Exactly. That may be a good idea that we can't smell each other. But we've taken one sense. All I'm saying is we've taken a sense away.
Right.
But it's only one sense. We've put other senses back, because now hopefully we're more relaxed. As you and I do this on a regular basis over the last, say, 15, 20 years that you've been doing it and I've been doing it and traveling around the world, we are very relaxed. We do need to breathe when we're talking. We need to think when we're talking. And the more you do this, the easier it becomes. going back to what you were saying, you've only got to start to do it and know that this is the only way that it can go forward. So I've got to get good at this. So you have no option currently. If you want to keep that connectivity going, this is your only option. So start using it, because the people that start to use it are the ones that are really going to benefit coming out the other side.
Right.
I mean, just imagine now one high net worth individual that has had a couple of these conversations, and they feel really happy about it. And then the next, we come out of lockdown. So we're into November, say. And the next person that may have a great opportunity, and that HNI turns around and says, "Oh yeah, well let's go online and talk about it." And that financial advisor says, "Well, I don't do it online." That person's going to say, "Bye."
Right.
Instantaneously, you've lost that client, and you've lost that client for good, by the way.
Right.
So it really is, we're being forced to use this, so use it, get on there. And a lot of it, as you and I know, is free. FaceTime is free. WhatsApp, in the majority part of the world, is usable and free. You know, they use WeChat, Zoom, WebEx, lots of these free opportunities are out there. Skype has been free forever. So use the tools that are available. Get used to it.
So even if you take a licensed version for the branding purpose, you can display your logo, etc. The cost of taking the license is so insignificant in front of the physical expense that you would eventually spend in traveling and waiting and the time. So I think for businesses, it makes a lot of sense to migrate into virtual world immediately. They will save cost.
Absolutely right. In fact, it boils down to less than a cup of coffee a day in most instances. Again, it depends where you buy your coffee, but it is, putting it into perspective. The one-off payment, it's a bit like Netflix. Netflix here is $7 or $8 a month. Now, in the first instance, you think, "Oh, that's if I only get one film, that's quite expensive." But as soon as you start to use the likes of Netflix or Amazon Prime or any of these other premium type arena, and you use it 10 times, all of a sudden, now each of those films cost me 70 cents. Use it 20 times, it's 35 cents. And it comes down to, it's less than a cup of coffee. I don't know where you buy coffee, but it could be, some coffee over here is like £3 a cup, and it's not coffee either.
In fact, Netflix makes a lot of sense even without lockdown, because if you go to a multiplex, at least I can share my experience in India, you would end up spending something like about $100. A family of 4 goes to a multiplex, because multiplexes are not a movie theater. They are the restaurants and F&B outlets. So they don't allow any food from outside. The water bottle costs more. So you eventually go and watch that experience in an environment, and you actually end up paying more. Whereas you can see the same movie on your large screen TV with surround sound at home with just 70 cents. So
if you're really nitpicking over money, then yeah, of course it makes sense. I mean, there is this other, if we don't want to go on that Disney ride, and we just want to see the movie at home, then do it. But like anything else, it's an experience, isn't it? We go for that experience. We don't want to let ourselves or our children miss out on those experiences. Just like as we've been talking, I've noticed the sun is really shining coming through my window, because you can see that this pop-up banner. You can actually see the line down the middle here. Look.
Yes, yes, I can see that. Yes.
So it's a beautiful day out there. It's sad that we can't go and utilize it even more, but you know what? You can put your head out the window and you can take in those sun rays. So literally, to wrap up today, it's about feedback here. You know, we've given a little bit of feedback. It's day 7. Hopefully you've got yourself into a routine. If not, come and ask CK and me to help you get into that routine. But more importantly, come and tell us what you've done. The good stuff about how you now feel about working from home. What difference it's made to not just you, but your family, but also to your customers, your employees. Let's get that feedback coming in, and we can really pass that on, share it with other people, because sharing is what entrepreneurs do. We're not sharing intellectual property here. We're just sharing a bit of common sense. So let's make common sense common practice, eh?
Yeah, right, Neville. So thanks for your advice. I'm hoping that a lot of my industry colleagues will give their comments, give their feedback, and hopefully join us in the conversation in the next few days.
That'd be great. That'd be great. Be safe, everybody, and we'll get through this together.
Have a safe and nice day. Catch you tomorrow, Neville.
Catch you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.